So this story relates to my meeting with the Japanese Yakuza, which is the Japanese equivalent of the mafia, and I think this would be about 1984, and I was working on World in Action, current affairs program on ITV, and had to go to Tokyo to make this film. And extraordinary stories of these guys who had full body tattoos. They were sort of organised gangs, doing sort of protection and all the normal sort of gangster things. But one thing that all the way through the week that we were filming, people were talking to us about was the fact that if you are a member of these gangs and you upset the boss, you were obliged to cut off a little piece of your finger to show how sorry you are. And everybody was telling us this, but we'd never actually seen anybody who'd got this aspect of their physical condition. And if you would go along to sort of any of the nightclubs where they were hanging out, all the bouncers outside would just sort of be like this, so you couldn't see their hands. Anyway, so many people had talked about this that at the end of the week it was a bit like Hamlet without the prince, and we thought, well, we've really got to see if we can see this. Well, these guys have offices, and you're not supposed to really sort of turn up. You're not supposed to surprise Japanese in any circumstances, but you're certainly not supposed to turn up uninvited. But this was our last day of filming, so we kind of went for broke. And George Turner, the cameraman, and I, and the sound recordist, went up in the lift. And I just remember, and we started running the camera as the lift doors opened, and we turned around, and as we turned around into the offices, we could see through the door of where these guys' offices were, and there was a bloke sort of sitting there. I guess he was supposed to be on guard in some way. And he stood up and came rushing towards us, sort of waving his arms. And I, as you do in Japan, I handed him my business card, and he took my business card. And as he did so, I could see that he got his finger missing here. And so I said to George, George, and of course George had already spotted it and got the camera running under his shoulder, under his arm, and so we got this shot of this guy holding my business card but had sort of fingers missing. Anyway, amazingly, they did allow us in, and although they didn't really like it, they did an interview with us and explaining very carefully how we were English people and really couldn't understand the kind of importance in the Japanese culture of the Yakuza. And in particular, it was pretty obvious that they weren't very pleased to have been, as it were, taken unawares. But anyway, we got our shot, and it's a sort of memorable sequence in the film, and all a bit scary, but actually sort of extraordinary insight into somebody else's way of going about things. That's the Japanese Yakuza.